Hello everyone, welcome to the interface. My name's Alex and today we're looking at the HondaE. And this is a £40,000 car, well just under £40,000 in the UK for brand new. And you can pick up a used one for about £17,000. Around the front we've got this lovely sort of friendly face, which is sort of reminiscent of the Golf Mark 1 and sort of maybe a Honda Civic original from the 70s. When you click the key, these animate in sort of a friendly way. So we've got a charging flap under here, you can open that with a button on the key. We've got the Honda logo down here with the blue accenting to make sure that you know it's an electrified Honda. There's also a tiny little camera here, and that will give you the 360 wraparound view. There's a whole plethora of tech inside the HondaE, we'll get to that in a bit. But it's looking pretty good. There's a sensor bank here, and there's obviously no grille because it's an electric car, but there's a grille sort of pass through at the bottom to cool down the battery. And quite interestingly, the battery on the HondaE is actually water cooled. Around the outside of the HondaE, we've got a lovely, simple, modern design. We've got these flush door handles, and even 3 or 4 years on since the car was announced, it looks so good even still. We've obviously got no door mirrors, and this is sort of the highlight feature of the HondaE. We've got these little cameras for the door mirrors, and there's some little screens inside to show you what that looks like. As I said, we've got these flush door handles, and you can pop that out like a Tesla Model 3 to get access to the car, and those will pop out when you unlock the vehicle. We've got some black accenting down the bottom, which sort of helps break up the car, and we've got a black roof on this model, and also we've got a sunroof, which doesn't open, but you can't even tell from the outside there's even a sunroof there. Rear doors, we've got these little pop-out handles, and it makes the car look a little bit more sleek, if you will. And you can sort of get in the back that way. You can see the pop-out door handles there. Around the back, we've got this C-pillar here, which helps nicely frame the rear of the car. And then down the bottom here, we've got some nice alloy wheels. These are 17-inch black alloy wheels. And then the 2 Hondas I've had on loan, they've all come with Pilot Sport tyres, which is actually quite good. So this car has 17-inch alloy wheels. We've got some Michelin Pilot Sport 4 tyres. And we've got 225, 45, 17 tyres. Hello and welcome to the interior of the HondaE. So we're going to talk about what this car is actually like to drive. So far since I picked the car up on Tuesday, I've done 470 miles in this car so far. And that includes some motorway use, some B-road use, as well as some town use. Now, it must be said that this car isn't really suited to doing long journeys. The range on the HondaE is about 131 miles. That's what Honda themselves quote, but in reality that's about 100 miles. So don't expect to do any long journeys in the HondaE. I did a 200-mile round trip on Wednesday, that was early in the week, and I did have to charge 4 times, so I added 2 hours to my journey. However, that was just for testing the actual car. The ride comfort on the HondaE is one of its specialities. The HondaE, when it was announced, is sort of a bespoke car. Nothing else shares its same platform, the same drivetrain, and it's Honda's first electric car. The suspension is incredibly comfortable, the ride is very good, the sound levels in here are very, very quiet. It almost feels like a luxury car in some aspects. So, just jumping into the back of the car, we've got a seating for 2 back here on this quite unique bench seat. So, most cars obviously have a 60-40 loading arrangement, and the seats sort of fold into 2 so you can get things in and out. The HondaE's got a 1-piece bench. There's a handle back here, and you can pull it, and the whole bench will fold flat. You can get things in quite easily. But back here, there's seating for 2, and we've got ISOFIX connectors on each seat, and you can sort of pull down this bit of cloth, and it will give you access to those ISOFIX connectors. All you have to do is tuck it back in to the back of the seat, and you can retain that. Down here, we've got 2 USB ports, so USB-A ports, not USB-C, for charging devices. So in total, this car actually has 4 USB-A ports for charging phones. In the back of these seats, we've got 2 mat pockets, sort of elasticated. They're quite good. And then I'm actually sat behind myself, so this seat is set up for my driving position. I'm about 5'6" or 5'7", and my feet go nicely underneath the seat. If I slouch a little bit more, I get a bit more comfort. There's not much gap between my thigh and the seat. Obviously with taller people, maybe people 6 foot or over, they might have a bit more problem with the gap between the leg and the seat, but it's not too bad for me. If I sit directly up in the seat, we've got a little bit of headroom, not much at all really. And in the roof, we've got 4 spotlights, which can be controlled with these buttons. At night time, they look really, really good. In the door cards, we've got a cup holder on the other side, and we've got electrical operated windows. The windows themselves don't go down that far. Overall, the rear cabin of the HondaE looks really, really good. Got a nice light headlining, light grey seats, fabric on the door cards as well. It sort of lifts the cabin from being a dark, drab interior that it could have easily been. So looking at the front seat of the HondaE, it's obviously a very unique car. It's very forward looking, especially when it was launched back in 2020. So either side of the front dashboard, we've got 2 little monitors which look at the camera feeds from the door mirrors. When this came out, this is a very pioneering car in that sort of feature, and other manufacturers have followed suit with that sort of thing. We've also got this massive bank of screens which we've got a digital driver display here, we've got a main display here and another main display there. If we turn on the car now, we get a little chime. I'll just get rid of that warning. And then there's a little wallpaper here. We've got a lot of things on this screen. We've got wireless Apple CarPlay, we've got Wi-Fi built into the vehicle, we've got an aquarium, which you've probably seen online before. There's also a lot of data about how much energy the car's using. There's an app store on here, also digital radio. One of my favorite features is the HDMI in port, which you can plug in something like a games console and have it feed on this screen here. You could play PlayStation while you're charging up. While we're talking about the ports and the sockets on the car, down here we've got 3 different things. We've got a power outlet, so 180 watt 12 volt socket. We've got a 230 volt 3-pin socket, which is up to 1500 watts. Then we've got a HDMI in port, as I mentioned, and then 2 USB-A ports, one for charging and the wired Apple CarPlay. Good to see on Hondas that we've got physical buttons and dials for climate control. So the HondaE has a very simple to use climate control system. So you've got the dial for the air conditioning here, and whatever you're doing gets replicated on the screen. We've got 3-stage heated seats, buttons to control the heated windscreen, which is a quite unique feature, especially for a non-Ford. We've got the temperature controls for the air conditioning. Down here we've got a wooden plinth, which is where all the controls for the car are. So we've got a drive mode here, which you can put the car into sport mode. It sort of makes the car a little bit faster. And we've got a electronic handbrake with brake hold, a button to control the 1-pedal driving. So that's a very good feature on this car, is the 1-pedal driving. And then what you do is use these paddles here to control the amount of regen you get. And then identical to the Honda Civic we reviewed, link is in the top right hand corner. We've got the gear selector section. So we've got park, reverse, neutral and drive. This is incredibly easy to use and makes a lot of sense. So the reverse button is sort of you pushing it away from you, which makes a lot of sense. So very good. For a more in-depth look at the HondaE infotainment system, got a link in the top right hand corner and in the description down below. Goes over the entire infotainment system in depth, how to use it, exactly what features come with the HondaE. That video is live now. Check out the link in the description. Moving on to these buttons here, we've got a physical knob for the volume, so the passenger can actually control the volume quite easily. We've also got the buttons on the steering wheel. We've got buttons to control the audio system on and off. A home button takes you back to this main screen. And we've got a button for the parking control system. Looking at the steering wheel, we've got automatic lights, we've got automatic wipers. We've got a plethora of buttons for controlling the adaptive cruise control, the heated steering wheel as well, which is quite a nice feature. And then just over here is the start-stop button for controlling the car. Down here we've got the buttons to control the mirrors, so even though they are cameras, they are still adjustable, which is good. And then we've got the locking the entire car, we've got the all the electrical windows in the car. Down here the glove box is a decent size, sort of soft open. We've got the owner's manual and all the relevant paperwork. I've noticed Honda do go to a lot of detail, so we've got some tiny little felt pieces on here on the side, so to avoid the car from rattling if you're driving along. Down here we've got a little pocket which I use for my phone, so when my phone's plugged into one of the USB ports, rather than having it trailing and plug into here, I just pop the phone into that pocket down there and it seems to keep it out of the way. Up here is the most interesting feature on the HondaE. It's the rear view camera, or the rear view mirror. So this little button here, you can push that away from you, and then that becomes a normal mirror, so you can see behind you as normal, and that just operates like a normal mirror. However, if you pull this tab towards you again, you've got the camera feed. So there's a camera at the back of the car which will always look backwards, and it's quite useful if there's a lot of people in the car, their heads are in the way, and you can exactly see behind you wherever you want. And one thing I noticed is that the benefit of having these cameras in place is that the perspective for the passenger doesn't change. If they want to help you get out of a junction, or they're helping navigate in a city, obviously when you've got normal mirrors, the passenger has a different perspective to the driver, and therefore it's less useful. But with the cameras, everything is obviously the same because they're screens. There's a lot of controls on here. You can control the brightness control of the mirror. You can also dip the brightness of the mirror as well. And the only problem I have noticed at night time, these cameras do suffer a little bit. The noise on the cameras can be quite bad if it's very dark, and then if you've got someone behind you, you've got a lot of glare in the cameras. But generally, for a lot of purposes, the HondaE camera system works pretty well. Up top we've got a sunroof, so we can pull the blind across and we've got access to the sunroof. This window itself does not open, but this blind does close. It's quite a nice little touch. We've also got controls up here for the SOS, and we can get help if we need to. There's a little thing you can pull to get SOS help. We can turn off and on the alarm system inside, and we can control what the lighting system does. So if we want everything to turn off, everything to turn on, or when the doors open, and we can turn these lights on and off manually if we want to. We've also got 2 sun visors, so Got a vanity mirror in each with a little light that which turns on, which is quite nice, and some nice rubber stoppers to stop the mirror from rattling again. Pretty good. We've also got 2 handles, so one in either side of the front, no handles on the back. That's not bad. Get it up on an open road, and the performance on the HondaE is that of equivalent to an Up GTI. It's about 8 seconds to 60. The exact figures are on screen, and it picks up very quickly. Down here we've got a drive mode for sport selection, so I can knock it down, or actually knock it up, and it will go into sport mode. And there seems to be less hold back of the car, so I've got a bit more throttle response. The regen's a little bit less intrusive, and it sort of feels like it's untethered. If I knock it back again to normal, it feels just a little bit slower. This steering wheel, by the way, is absolutely amazing. It's a 2-spoke steering wheel, so we've got nothing at the bottom here. It's a very lovely steering wheel to use. As we mentioned in the infotainment section and our dedicated infotainment review, we've got a very large expanse of screens in the HondaE. It's one of its headline features. So for the driver, I've got a small little display here, and I've got access to widgets on the left-hand side. I've got the state of power and charge on the car, so if I let it regen, it will knock back into the sort of charging the car. Got the percentage levels down here, and I can see my current speed. Over here I've got Apple CarPlay up at the moment, and then on that side we can control different things like the EV state, as well as the Honda App Center. The passenger can control those details. My favourite feature of the Honda is its 1-pedal driving mode. However, the only downside, it does need to be turned on every time you turn on the car. There's a little button down here to turn on the 1-pedal mode, and whenever you let off the throttle on the Honda, it will knock back into regen, and if you let it off even more, the brake lights will come on and let someone know behind you that you're slowing down. The HondaE is extremely fun to drive. It handles like a little go-kart. This steering wheel really helps, it's very comfortable to use, and we've got rear-wheel drive on the HondaE as well. The HondaE has sort of that spark back into it. It's got very fun handling. As I said, if you knock into sport mode, you get a bit more of that power unlocked, and it feels like it wants to go. We've also got an incredible turning circle on this car. Due to the fact that it's rear-wheel drive, and there's nothing connected to the front wheels apart from this steering wheel, the angle that you can get on the steering is beyond belief. So around the back of the HondaE, we've got a similar sort of design to the front. Got the rear lights in this circle shape here, got some reversing lights here, as well as one of the rear reversing cameras. Up top in there is the camera for the rear view mirror, which we looked at earlier on in the video. We've also got the HondaE badge in this nice futuristic font. Then we've got a button here to release the tailgate. Inside, the boot space isn't the biggest in the world. The HondaE is rear-wheel drive, so there is some space taken up with that drivetrain system. We've got a little bit of a carpet load here, and it does sort of fold away to prop itself back up. Got some polystyrene here, which has the tyre inflation kit. Then we can lift it up to view the rear-wheel drive system. We've got 171 litres here. If you fold these seats down, that does expand to 861 litres if you count up to the roof. Folding the rear seats down is an easy affair, so there aren't any split seating arrangements. We've got one little handle here to fold the entire rear bench down, and then that reveals the 861 litres of boot space. So for the acceleration around these corners, I'm going to turn it tight into these corners, 40 mile an hour around these corners now, and it's sticking to the road very well. That's in sport mode as well. Oh, this car's great. Very fun. Very, very good. Now, I've driven it on some B roads earlier in the week, and the handling on this car is really, really good. It's akin to a little hot hatch in some scenarios. These seats are incredibly comfortable. They're not electric by any means, but we've got some handles on the left-hand side, right-hand side to control the height, and we've got a little metal rail to pull them forward and back. Nowadays, we love coffee, so cup holders are an incredibly important part of a car. We've got 3 cup holders which are customizable down here. We've got a pull-out tray which you can pull out a cup holder. In terms of safety technology, the HondaE has tons going on. We've got automatic wipers, automatic headlights, the high beam system is automatic as well. We've also got lane assist, it's also got active lane steering, adaptive cruise control, and everything can be set from the menu on this left hand side. We've also got lane departure warning, a blind spot monitoring system, so there's little lights on this side here, and as I said, everything can be turned on and off from this little screen here. We've got a 360 wraparound camera, and that will help you when you're parking. And we've also got park assist too. If you're coming up to a parking space, a parallel parking space, the HondaE will just park itself for you with no need to touch any of the controls. This car is more suited to run around jobs like shopping, taking kids to school, picking things up from the local supermarket. It's not really designed for long journeys. However, the charging system on the HondaE reflects that use case. For DC fast charging, it's got a 50 kilowatt charging system. The exact specs will be on the screen. That means it isn't quite as good as the modern electric cars, which you typically have now 100 kilowatt charging. This means you will spend a little bit more time charging the car. However, I think for this type of use and this car, charging at home would be more than adequate. The car comes with a Type 2 charging cable which can be used at AC chargers. There's also a 3-pin socket adapter included which you can use to charge your car at home. So overall, what do I think about the HondaE? Well, the HondaE has been out for a little while now. It's almost coming up to its 4th year on the market. This car was always going to be a proof of concept. It was Honda's first electric car, and not many people bought them, unfortunately. Also, the price tag has likely put a lot of people off. For example, just last year, this car was just over £30,000. As of recording, it's just under £40,000. And I'm afraid a lot of people just can't justify that price. Again, as I mentioned at the start of the video, the used market is looking really good for this car. Electric cars in general are depreciating quite rapidly. So you can pick up a used HondaE, it's about 2 or 3 years old, for just under £18,000. And I think that's a great bargain. Most of the ones I found online haven't done more than 5,000 or 6,000 miles, and you'll be getting a great car for the money. However, just don't expect to be doing long journeys in this car. You'll be charging more than you want, and you most likely will get fed up with using the car. Treat this car as a secondary car alongside a Tesla Model Y or long-range electric car, or even a diesel. So what do you think about the HondaE? Let us know in the comments down below. Thank you for watching this video. If you like the sort of content we produce, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Like this video to let other people know that you enjoyed this content. Visit the website for more, theinterface.uk. We've also got some podcasts out. Check out the link in the description, the Interface Podcasts. Thanks for watching this video. My name's Alex, and we'll see you again next time.